Bob, we're here at Giga US, and we just had a really interesting panel on the energy storage market in the US. Maybe just to start off with, you can highlight some of the kind of key changes over the last 2 to 3 years in the market and how LG has adapted to that.
Yeah, I think the energy storage market in the US has been expanding very rapidly over the last few years. I think that's been driven by need to upgrade our grid and generate more power and do that in a much more efficient way. There's also emergence of data centers that have high power needs, and the way data centers use power has a lot of frequency, ups and downs to it, so it's really important for batteries to be part of that solution. Both of those things have really generated a tremendous amount of growth for us, which is really which is really excellent, because as we know, the EV market did not grow quite as fast as we projected 5 years ago. So we've been able to shift some of our capacity from making batteries for EVs and focusing that for making batteries for energy storage systems. It's also forced us to work on more different cooling mechanisms. The overall system architecture for the battery storage for grid, for example, is very complex, and it's allowed us to develop some new technologies. So those market changes, clearly it's been disruptive. It's caused us to challenge ourselves, but I think it's also opened up a lot of opportunities, and both in terms of new markets, but also new technologies that we've developed.
Yeah. No, it's been a big pivot. And I mean, in terms of your manufacturing facilities, maybe talk us through those. I think you said earlier you have 8 facilities across the US and Canada. How does that mix now look between EVs and energy storage?
So we have 8 facilities in North America overall. Each facility is in the range of 40 gigawatts. So they're very large-scale facilities. We have 1 in Canada and 7 operating in the U.S. Of the 7 plants in the U.S., 1 will make cylindrical cells. So it's a slightly different technology from our traditional pouch cells. And then out of the other 6 pouch cells plants, 5 of them will start making LFP cells. So many of them, or most of them, have converted some capacity to making LFP cells, and that tells you the size of the demand and the growth that's in the ESS space using LFP cells. So I guess in addition to changing our chemistry from NMC high nickel content to LFP, we're also starting to develop different formats. We've announced some projects for prismatic format, which is also helpful for some low-end EV, but also for ESS space. So, in our plants right now, we're hybrid at this point because the demand is more on the LFP side. We're ready and able, and we have a lot of capability, when the EV demand, comes back. But right now, we're working with our partners to really try to fill our capacity, and it's a hybrid of both ESS and EV demand.
Yeah, and that's an amazing position to be in, to be able to pivot going forwards. Maybe just thinking about some of the recent announcements from LG in terms of offtakes. There was recently quite a large offtake with DTE. Maybe talk us through that and how interest has been in general for LG's energy storage cells or energy storage systems over the last few years.
So, as I said, the demand for energy storage systems for large utility scale projects have been, really amazing. It's been growing very rapidly. The DTE project is a really special project for us because we worked with State of Michigan and DTE directly. It's a strategic project for us because our first plant and the plant that's going to be supplying this project is in Holland, Michigan. So this was something that was really important for the state to come together, have products that are made in Michigan, serving utilities and customers in Michigan. So it was a holistic solution, and we're really excited about that. Right now in the U.S., a lot of that market is based in California, Arizona, and Texas, more in the southwest, I'm sorry. But we're seeing more projects now in other parts of the country. DT is taking a lead in Michigan, but we're seeing projects in Ohio, New England, and other places. So I think it's the first steps of more utilities seeing the opportunities of using ESS to operate their system more efficiently, with less capital investment, and serving their demand with in a much lower cost way from the utilities point of view.
Yeah, and that interest in domestic products in non-PFE or FEOC products has really shifted because of the policy landscape over the last few years. How is that policy kind of supporting LG? And do you think there's anything more that needs to be done to continue to support LG to become cost competitive and really kind of a leader in the storage space in the US?
Yeah, we benefited a lot from some of the policies, both in the Trump administration and the Biden administration, in terms of getting tax credits for battery production, and we're absolutely grateful for that. I think it really eases the investment, and this is an industry with heavy capital investment that could take 10, 20 years for payback. So having the federal government support with tax credits have been really helpful. But I think if we look at battery storage as an important strategic industry, one that really is a foundation for energy security as well as economic security, I think there could be more that could be done to support this industry in a holistic way. So in addition to tax credits, I think there could be a lot more research, early investment, provide some relief in terms of permitting to allow construction to go faster. I think, we're very grateful for the work that we've done with the EPA as an example. They've been tremendously helpful, but I think there's some reforms that we can have there to make permitting process for chemicals faster as well. So yes, we've received a lot of support, but I think this is an industry that is so critical and fundamental that if we are going to have significant share of this industry, we still need more government support and priority placed on this industry.
Yeah, and that's been a really kind of key thing, is that the policy is there, but there is this underlying tone of uncertainty. So how that plays out over the next few years is really going to be key, and having some certainty in place will ultimately allow the market to evolve in a much stronger way.
Absolutely. I fully agree with that statement. I've said that in the U.S. we need a comprehensive and consistent economic policy, and energy needs to be a part of that. And so I do think we need a longer-term horizon, perspective as a nation on where we're headed, and not have things change, with every election cycle. I think, again, this is such an important industry, and one that's going to be a foundation for so many other industries going forward. If we're going to have significant players, if we're going to have significant employment, significant value creation, that planning and coordination is absolutely critical. So, one thing that I would ask for our policymakers is to not only have a good, clear policy, but to set it up in a way that it can be consistent, because that consistency is what allows companies to invest and take some risks and drive things forward. As long as there's uncertainty, there's a little bit of hesitation from corporations. So I think that's some support that we would love to get from the federal government. Yeah, for sure. Great. Thanks very much for joining us, Bob, for this Power Players interview. And we look forward to you joining us again in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate being here.
Great.